The Bamboo Project Wholesale video starts in 3, 2.
Welcome to the Bamboo Project YouTube channel. My name is Donivan Gray.
And my name is Melissa Burnett. We currently have over 300 videos on our channel of our Dr. Sebi inspired diet, travel vlogs, sports, music, clothing, podcast, beauty, and everything else. We live in New York City, and this is episode 27 of our virtual wholesaling series, where we will give weekly updates on our journey to close our first deal.
We started this series for the people who want to get into wholesaling, who don't have any money, who don't have any mentors, and wanted the perspective of other people just starting out. Today is July 2nd, and this is the last several weeks update.
In these past couple of weeks, I've been trying to finish my education that I had to do to become an appraiser. So that consists of 4 courses. I finished one and came into a kind of situation. So it turns out in order for me to fully complete the course, I have to take a final assessment. And I have to take that final assessment in Georgia. Now, I don't know if you guys are aware, but we live in New York City. So that's going to be kind of hard for me to do. And it's, like I said, it's 4 courses, so that means I have to take a total of 4 exams. Now, the issue with that as well is that they only administer 3 exams per week. So if I do decide to go down to Georgia to take these exams, I would have to either break it up into 2 trips, which would be like 2 separate flights, 2 separate, accommodations in terms of car and hotel or lodging. So that's gonna add up pretty quickly, or I would do 1 trip, but it would have to be a week long because I would have to stay in order to take the last test the following week. So that was kind of freaking me out and kind of had me bummed out. I called to see if I can get it proctored in New York State, because that's kind of the issue. Like, I have to be in front of someone taking my online exam. Isn't that funny? But it seems like I might be able to do that, so I guess keep you guys posted within our next update. That might be a couple of weeks from now.
For people who are new to our channel, we have tried to start wholesaling virtually back in like October or so, and it all started from Melissa purchasing a course by Jerry Norton, and we've had a lot of downs, no ups at all from when we started to now, other than maybe education. That's all we probably got is learning, but it was mostly downs. So if you have seen our old videos, probably a lot of people have seen the review of Jerry Norton's course and a lot of other things we've tried to do to get our first deal. So because we had a lot of downs, like, you know what, we ended up buying a property which was not on the list of things that we had planned to do, and somehow it came up before we got our first wholesale deal. So that has been taking a lot of time away from actually wholesaling, and I still would want to get a wholesale deal because I started, and I don't want to quit without actually getting a wholesale deal. So I still would want to get one. And then once I get one, I think I'll learn the process of it and I can get more wholesale deals. I think it's very funny because we have 20, this will be our 27th video, right? And in every single video, we say, we have not gotten a wholesale deal. I want everybody to know this. We have not, it says it in the intro, our first wholesale deal. So we have not gotten one yet, okay? We are on the journey to get one because this is the problem I have with YouTube. A lot of things that we've been seeing, everybody's been seeing, is the guru stance and how everybody says everything is so easy to do. You can get a wholesale deal by going outside, driving your car, finding the property, then calling the person, making $10,000. It only takes 15 days, like something like that, right? And everybody that I talk to seems to not have that same experience with wholesaling, right? But some reason everybody on YouTube has different experience. Everybody on YouTube is making money. Everybody I talk to is not making money. So maybe the people who are not making money are not on YouTube. I don't know, but I do know it's very different. So we had made a decision, like I said earlier, to kind of put the wholesaling on pause so that we can get the house in order, because our main goal in all of this is not even to be a wholesaler or anything like that. Our main goal is to have enough passive income so that we can do the things that we want to actually do. Well, do more of the things we want to actually do. We want to be able to have the freedom to do those things. So that's what we got in the wholesaling, to get us that money to then buy a house. We ended up buying a house accidentally, and we're kind of working on that now. I believe that Jerry has seen our video. Shout out to Jerry Norton. We know you watch the videos, okay? We have proof that Jerry watches the videos. With this video right here, you can see over here. Jerry watches the videos, we know. So he gave us a shout out on his community page, the community tab, which I will also post up here, right? Now, I think it's just very funny because Melissa was scrolling through YouTube and saw a post. I guess you could kind of explain what you saw when you came across that tab. Do you remember how what your experience was looking at that?
Yeah. It doesn't matter where I was. I think I was on a train. And I had one on YouTube and I was scrolling and it was like, are you a bamboo tree about to sprout? And I'm like, what? And I look and it's Jerry Norton. I'm like, what you know about bamboo trees sprouting and how they grow? Like, that's literally our mission statement for our business.
Our life.
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah, which is our business. So, it was. Well, I at first thought that maybe Jerry was trying to copy us. That's what I thought.
Oh, okay. He's trying to steal our thunder.
Yeah. Like, I don't know what you know about bamboo trees. But then Donivan, because listen, I be amped up sometimes. But Donivan, he was like, I don't think that's what that was. I'm like, oh, okay.
Yeah, me personally, I think that Jerry, this is what I think, okay? Until I talk to him, I won't actually know. Shout out to Jerry Norton. I won't actually know what the reason was, but I have a couple of thoughts about it, right? So my first one would be that I think he wants us to keep going. I think he's telling us that we should not stop and that it takes time to get to where you want to get to, which obviously the Bamboo Project, that's our moniker. That's how we, built the company to be. So it takes a lot of work first, and then you start to see a lot of the rewards later. A lot of rewards come a lot later, but they come very quickly when you put in enough work in the beginning. And I guess I'll read his post, because I think a lot of people also who are new to the channel and who will be new by watching this video, I don't think that you guys are familiar with the Bamboo Project tree. So I'll read his post to you if you can't see it on the actual video. It says, are you a bamboo tree? On today's YouTube video, I discussed the 12 deadly mistakes wholesalers make. Deadly mistake number 11 is giving up too early and too soon. Consider this. A Chinese bamboo tree takes 5 years to grow. It has to be watered, fertilized in the ground where it has been planted every day. It doesn't break through the ground for 5 years. After 5 years, once it breaks through the ground, it will grow 90 feet tall in 5 weeks. If you're struggling to see progress, don't give up. Keep watering and keep fertilizing. You may be a bamboo about to sprout and take off, right? So the reason why the bamboo tree actually takes so long to sprout is because the majority of the time that it's growing downward. The roots are expanding into the ground, which is why it's able to grow so quickly, because it's already established a very strong foundation. Most people don't actually see what's happening underground, so they think like, oh my goodness, this just happened overnight. And that is what the Bamboo Project is. You get to watch us put all the work in first, and then you'll start to see us make all these big strides, and then you can see, okay, it's not an overnight success. Most people don't have overnight successes, but what I've noticed is you don't really get to see a lot of people's success when they start out, with the trial and tribulation they go through. You don't really get to see that. And I think it'd be really cool if people could see it. So that's why we decided to make this channel, to show what it looks like to go from being broke, about to be evicted, to who knows what comes next. We already have a property, so maybe we'll be millionaires next year. Who knows? So, where's my phone?
Got 400 videos on YouTube with only 800 subscribers.
It's gonna take off, and then they're gonna be like, oh my god, how did y'all get 1 million subscribers? Because here's what I was thinking too, right? If we got 1 million subscribers in 9 months, people will go, oh my god, y'all got 1 million subscribers in 9 months. That's crazy. Even if we had a channel for 6 years, people would still go, how did y'all get 1 million subscribers in 9 months? That would be what people say. We'll go on, they'd be like, oh, you got 1 million subscribers in the last 9 months. That's crazy. And it's like, yeah, we did, but we've been making videos for 6 years, and then in the last 9 months we got 1 million subscribers, and now we make $400,000 a month off YouTube, you know, without having to put any work in. So, but this is a wholesale channel, so I actually did a couple of wholesale things, a couple wholesale related things over the last, I don't know how many weeks it's been. It's been a couple, maybe 2 months. It's been 2 months. So in the last 8 weeks. The first thing I wanted to bring up was I had a deal a while back. If you guys have been watching the videos since then, there was my first deal in Philadelphia, right? It was my first deal I submitted to Jerry Norton. It was the first one I ever submitted to him, right? And it was I swear, it should have been my first deal. It should have been my first deal. I had one misstep that really messed me up from getting that deal, and this is what ended up happening. I found this property for $180,000, and the renovation, not the renovation, what's that called? The ARV? Yeah, right. The resale on it, or the ARV, was $300,000, right? So I brought it to Jerry on the 10K program, and they said no, the property was too high, the value was too high, or the price was too high. So they wanted me to come down to 130. Right? They said you got to come down to 130, otherwise we can't buy the house. I'm like, that's mind you, I just started. I'm thinking $50,000. That's crazy. But what I've been hearing a lot lately is if you make an offer, and I'm learning this even without wholesaling in terms of just real estate in general, you should feel uncomfortable when you make your offer. That's how you know it's a good offer. If you don't feel uncomfortable with your low offer, it's probably too high. So I started out, was like, nah, this is way too low. I don't know how I'm gonna do this. Somehow they came down to like 150, right? And we're going back and forth. I'm like, oh my God, I got them down to 150. I went back to Jerry on the 10K program, and they were like, nah, we're not taking that 150. It needs to be at 130. I'm like, bruh. So mind you, this is going on for months now, probably several more weeks. I talked to them again. I get them to come down to 140 from 150, right? And I go back to Jerry's team, and I'm like, hey, they came down from 180 to 140. How can we get this deal done? Like, I'm doing everything I can to get the deal done. I'm trying to get this within that 10-day period that Jerry has. How can I get this deal done? They're like, nah, we're not taking it at 140. Like, we need it to be at 130. And I'm like, think how crazy this is. The ARV was 300, and they came down. They wanted me to get it at 130, and it was listed at 180. So I'm like, yo, y'all really hassling me over like a couple $1,000s. They're like, it has to be at 130. I'm like, all right, fine. So they were saying to me, I talked not to them. I was talking to the person who was selling it, the agent, and the actual person who was the owner. They were trying to move, and that was why they wanted to sell the house. They wanted to sell it before the end of the year was up, and I was trying to get that done quickly. It didn't end up working out like that. So going back and forth with them, I got them to come down to 135. 135 they came down to from 180, right? I bring it to Jerry's team, and they said, no, we can't do that. So now I bring this back to the agent. I say, hey, agent, I got them down. Can we come down to 130? I know we at 135. He's upset. We came down from 180. I can't believe you still want to go lower. My client's doing all this work. Why don't you want to come up? I don't understand what's going on. Now, I just started this out. So I'm like, yo, this is crazy. I don't know why Dre doesn't want to take it. I'm looking bad. I don't really know how to handle this. So I go back to Jerry's team and I say, okay, they're at 135. Can we just do 135 and you guys take, instead of giving me 10,000, only take 5,000? They were like, no, we can't do that. I'm like, oh my God, this is great. I'm like, it's gonna be my first deal. It's gonna be my first deal, right? So then Jerry goes, you know what? Or the team, not Jerry specifically, his team goes, we could do 133, right? So I'm like, all right. So I go back to the agent. I'm like, all right, we came up. My team, my partners came up from 130. He's like, okay, good. We can get this deal done. I'm like, yeah. I'm like, we could do 133. This guy's up. He's even more upset. So you're telling me you're only gonna come up with $3,000? Why aren't you coming up more than that? It's only extra $2,000. Why won't you do the 135? What's going on? You know what? We're not taking the deal. And they just decide to not do it. So now I'm stuck here like, damn, I really could have had this deal. Honestly, if it was for me, if I knew how to wholesale better or more back then, I probably could have done it myself. But here we are. So story goes on to, I meet somebody through YouTube, and we started talking about wholesaling. She wholesales in a different state, and she was putting me on the game and teaching me different things about wholesaling. And she's a very strong negotiator, right? So a couple weeks go by, maybe a month or two, and I get a text back like, hey, do you still want to purchase the property? I'm like, yeah, I do. So I'm like, oh, I'm about to get my first deal. So now I'm consulting with her, the lady who is a strong negotiator, about the deal. She's saying, look, the person came back to you. That means that you were in control. So you make them go even lower. Go lower than 130, and what you need to 130, go lower than 135, and only do $100 EMD as opposed to the 15 or 2,000 I already put up. And tell them that you want 30-day closing, and tell them you want a 15-day inspection, right? This is all things I was saying. And I'm like, you sure? Like, you sure I should do that? She's like, listen, you got them by the balls. You got this, right? So I'm like, all right, I'm new to this. She knows more about it than me. Let me go in and try this. So I go in there. All right, I'm texting. I sent it out, right? They read it. I'm like, all right, so we good. So I wait a couple days. I ain't get no response. I'm like, okay. A couple more days, I ain't get a response. I'm like, all right, it's about a week now. So I text them like, hey, what's going on? Nothing. Silence, right? Another week goes by, I text them again, and they're like, yeah, I think they said their owner, the seller, is not looking to do that, right? And I'm like, wow, that's crazy. I'm like, I probably had the deal. I think I pushed too hard. I didn't get it. So recently, I just found out that the property sold, right? Now this is the stress I have to deal with, the pain in my heart of wholesaling, okay? This property that was at 180, that I got down to 150, then to 140, then to 135. I got Jerry's team to come up to they came up to 133, right? $2,000 is what stopped me from getting this deal. It was $2,000 that held me up from making my first deal wholesaling virtually with no money. This property sold for $125,000. Okay, do you understand the pain and the frustration and the anger I have to feel when I looked at that? I saw the sold listing and it said 125. So that means that I could have got, they didn't want to come down to the 133, right? And then they waited all this time to then take a lower offer than what I offered them to begin with. They didn't come back to me and say, hey, you know what? We could do your 130 or your 133. We could do that. No, they said, we're going to take less than what you offered us. Hurt is what I was, right? And what that taught me is two things. One, you have to know when to push and how to push. That's the first thing I learned. And then the second thing it taught me is that it's not always about the money. And I think I've heard this very often from the videos I've watched, especially when it comes to real estate and wholesaling. It's more so about the rapport you build with the person you're getting the deals from. And I think what happened was, when I pushed back, is that they felt as though they would have a better transition of selling that property with whoever else they sold it to, because I wanted a lot of stipulations. I wanted the 15-day closing, 30-day close, 45-day close, I think it was, 15-day inspection, $100 EMD, and something else. I wanted a whole bunch of stuff, right? I'm asking all these demands. They were like, you know what? We just have to go with somebody else. It makes it a lot easier to do. Even though you offer them more money, it's not worth it. So that's what I learned from that, right? And then there was another deal. There was one more deal that we went through over the last couple of weeks, right? So we do all of our wholesaling virtually. Everything we've ever done, we've never went to a property, we've never seen a property, nothing like that ever. We didn't. Everything we've done, cold call, has been from these chairs right here in this house. So shout out to my man Chris. He is in Jersey, right? Met him through YouTube, and he found a property out there. So we were actually going to check on our property in Philadelphia, and he was like, hey, we could try and wholesale that one in Jersey. I'm like, I bet. So I'm like, okay, this would be my first wholesale deal. The numbers are looking really good. It was the property price is $160, right? And the retail or resale on it, or ARV, would be, it was like 380 or 4. It was like 420, I think it was. It was like 420. It was 1,300 square feet. Might have been a 3-1, right? Nice size land or lawn. So I'm like, oh, this is gonna be a great deal. So I look at the picture that he sends me. I'm like, okay, it's a complete renovation. Everything has to be gutted. The house looks, it's in complete disarray, disrepair, and everything. we've never, like I said, went to a property before, so I don't even know what I would look for at the property. But I'm like, you know what, we can get this deal if I can just find a buyer for this property. I do my research that I've done before when the property that we've had on under contract. I know how to get a buyer, I know where to look for them, I know how to talk to them or whatever the case might be, but we never actually had a deal. We got all the pieces lined up at this point from all the work we've put in, but the last thing we need now is a deal. So I find a buyer for this property. I'm like, oh yeah, we're about to close on it. Like, this is gonna be our first deal. Funny enough, a property that we have to actually go to. So I go out to the property, and a lot of actually show the footage in a video on the channel. So I guess I'll post that up here and you can see what video that is. And I go to the property, I meet the buyer at the property, and he tells me that he thinks that the house needs to be fully knocked down. That the house cannot be used the way it is. It has to be knocked down. And I'm like, damn, that's crazy. He's like, yeah, I think the property's only worth the land that it's on. So that's going to change our numbers for, obviously you have to build a whole house there, and lumber prices right now, or at that point, were very, very high. So that would have raised the price of building a house even more than what it should have been. So he's like, you know what, I'm going to still give you a number. I'm going to try and give you a number. I'm going to do some more research and go back out to the property. They go out there again. He comes back and said, listen, it's not going to work. Like, if I have to buy this from you, it'll only be a couple $1,000s. I don't think it's worth it. Hopefully, we can do some more deals in the future. If you find anything else, bring that to me in Jersey. I'm like, all right, cool. Another reason why he told me that he was not able to, or chose not to buy this property, is because this is something we just learned, or something I just learned recently, because I'm getting my real estate license in Philadelphia. So I'm now taking a 75-hour course, which is a lot of hours. And it says that there are something called a deed restriction. I believe that's what it's called. I want to say that's the name of it. I think that's the term. Does that sound right to you? Deed restriction, okay? So what that means is, for anybody that buys this property, they have to do what the current deed says on the property, right? Or no, they have to do to the property what the current deed says on it. For this particular property, you have to knock down the house on the property, as well as another property, another house, another structure on the property. I didn't know this, and there's no way that I would have known this if I got this property under contract. The only way that I know this is because the buyer actually had his people do a title search, I think, and that came back and said that. So I actually saw something like that on PropStream, but I couldn't find it again. And when I asked the owner about it, he didn't tell me. I was like, hey, there's something about knocking properties down. What does he know about that? He's like, yeah, we already did that. Don't worry about it. And I'm like, all right, okay, cool. So I ended up not being able to wholesale that deal, and I lost another deal for that reason. But I guess in the process, I built a buyer. So, you know, here we are again, back at square one. But I do want to start getting back into wholesaling a little bit more. And I want to get back into wholesaling a little bit more because I think obviously it helps. It's money. And we found this property through that. And I also think that it helps in terms of our education on real estate. But I thought Melissa disagrees with what I'm saying. Her face.
I don't mind the practice and kind of like continuing with the education. You said it's money. I'm like, I haven't seen a dime from this. So I'm gonna,
we have a house.
I don't know where the money come from.
We have a house.
Yes, I spent money. I have not received no money yet.
You did. They gave you $167,000 and you bought a house with it. You didn't buy a house with the money they gave you from real estate? That's not what happened? Anyways,
because Donivan is chatting nonsense right now. Yeah, I ain't see no money come in that can be used
to buy a house.
That's not that we didn't wholesale nothing, Donivan. We got a loan. You
said money, but we got it through wholesaling.
Got debt. We ain't get no money.
We did. We spent it.
Anyways, because it's not making no sense. We have not gotten any money from wholesaling, so that's my only thing. I don't mind. I don't know. I've been mostly looking at apartments for my property searches, and that's for like Airbnb reasons and for us moving to Georgia. But I wouldn't mind kind of looking at wholesaling landscape again, because I do think that the information that I've learned from wholesaling and from talking to different people throughout this process, it helps me to visualize what the words are saying when I read it for my appraisal course. So when they talk about having the complete bundle of rights or whatever, all those different things, I'm like, oh, okay, I understand that now. So now when I see certain terms in the listings, I know what that means. So it's kind of like, it's definitely good for educational purposes. Money, I don't know about that.
Listen, all I want everybody here to know is when I start getting money, she's not having none. I said this before. When I start making money on wholesaling, Melissa not getting no money. I'm gonna go all out, go crazy on vacation by myself.
I didn't tell you not to do it.
No. You said there's money in it. So I'm about to go and make all this money that don't exist by myself. And I'm gonna have all of my vacations without Melissa. And you can stay in the squalor that you want to live in. You can stay there while I'm out on vacation in Atlanta. So with my money. Now, I'm currently working with I guess Tyrell in Indiana, and no, he's not in Indiana. He's in Columbus, Ohio. So that's where I'm starting off at right now with getting back into wholesaling, is looking in Ohio, and also I'm gonna do some more Philadelphia just to get back on the horse. And Jersey, shout out to Chris. And I gotta check. There was somebody else I remember who I was talking to about Jersey. I gotta check my emails. But that wraps it up for episode 27. A lot of weeks between this one and the last one.
Yeah, we're almost coming up on the year, guys.
So with facts. Whew, yeah. So you got anything else you wanna? Alright, so you know what it is. Hashtag Baby Project 2021. We going up all year, you know the vibes. And with that being said, Bamboo Project out. I don't know why you do that.